and as they led him away, they seized a man named Simon from Cyrene, who was coming in from the country. They laid the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. Now a great crowd of people followed him, including women who were mourning and wailing for him. Jesus turned to them and said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep over me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For days are coming when they will say, 'Blessed are the barren women, and the wombs that have borne no children, and the breasts that have never nursed.' At that time they will say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.' For if this is what they do when the tree is green, what will happen when it is withered?" 2 others who were criminals were also led out with him to be executed. And when they arrived at the place called the Skull, they crucified him there along with the criminals, one on Jesus' right, the other on his left. And the soldiers divided his clothing by placing bets, and the people stood by watching. The leaders even made fun of him, saying, "He rescued others. Let him rescue himself if he really is God's Christ, his chosen one." The soldiers also ridiculed him, coming up and offering him bitter wine. They said, "If you really are the King of the Jews, rescue yourself." There was a placard above him which read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who hung there was abusing Jesus, saying, "Aren't you supposed to be the Christ? Rescue yourself and us." But the other criminal responded with a rebuke, "Have you no fear of God? After all, you are under the same death sentence. Yet here we are justly. We are receiving what we deserve for our actions, but he has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, please remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus replied, "I tell you the truth. Today you will be with me in paradise." By this time it was already about midday, but darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon, because the sun stopped shining. The curtain of the temple was torn down the middle. Then Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I entrust my spirit." With these words he breathed his last breath. When the centurion saw what happened, he honored and praised God, saying, "This man was truly the righteous one." When the crowd that had gathered for this spectacle saw these things, they beat their chests and returned to their homes. But all Jesus' acquaintances and the women who had followed him from Galilee stood at a distance, watching these things. Now there was a man named Joseph, who was a member of the council. He was a good and just man, and had not given his consent to their decision and action. He came from the Jewish town of Arimathea, and was waiting expectantly for the kingdom of God. He approached Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus, and when he had taken it down from the cross, he wrapped it in linen and placed it in a tomb cut out from rock in which no one had ever been laid. It was the day of preparation, and the Sabbath was drawing near. But still the women who had accompanied Jesus from Galilee followed Joseph and took note of the tomb and how Jesus' body was laid there. Returning home, they prepared some burial perfumes and lotions, but on the Sabbath day they rested according to the commandment.